about being a Civil War surgeon.
Hello everybody, I'm Dr. Smith, and here's some fun facts about being a Civil War surgeon with my assistant Dr. Lee, and we are performing surgery on Soldier Armstrong on his arm. But before we do, here are some fun facts about us. Did you know that most Civil War surgeons were nicknamed Sawbones?
Or that most of us doctors work on the battlefield?
Did you know that the best surgeons like us could amputate body parts within 5 minutes?
Assistants like me are crucial to this procedure.
We would perform surgeries on soldiers who were shot anywhere besides the head or the stomach.
Those who were shot in the head or stomach would die, and we would not be able to treat them.
Like for part 2!
More facts about being a Civil War surgeon.
Hello everyone! Me and my assistant Dr. Lee is back for part 2 of fun facts about us Civil War surgeons. Those Confederates! They don't even use anesthesia! The soldiers are awake in many of the processes.
But unlike us, the Union Army, however, we have anesthesia, like whiskey. The assistants like me in the Confederate Army would have to close the patient's mouth.
When the soldiers' body parts are amputated, we just throw them away.
Now, soldiers would live for like a couple days without their body parts and, eventually die a few days later. We do a bunch of amputations on a daily basis, even though we had no prior experience before this war.
And that's all for the fun facts. Follow for more. Prepping is a must for all procedures.
It is really important to have all the materials ready, especially when battles is near, because you may never know when a patient will get wounded in the arm, leg, or even both.
This is how us Union soldiers get ready for surgery.
We first make sure all our materials are placed correctly in the surgical kit.
The surgical kit is a necessity for all of our procedures. In my surgical kit, it contains a file, picks, bone saw, tweezers, trephines, tourniquets, bandages, lancet, scissors, rongeur,
knives,
and haysaw. It's all the basics for any procedure.
We also must make sure our greatest anesthesia is in stock, whiskey. It is great for both anesthesia and a painkiller.
And remember, a real surgeon will never wash their hands. Remember to watch part 2. It deals on how we actually do surgery. This is our patient. He had already been given anesthesia with both whiskey and ether. As you can tell, our patient has 2 minute balls on his arm. Unfortunately for him, his arm tissue is extremely damaged and has splintered his bone. We must remove his arm.
Using the knife, I remove the skin first, but then I make sure to leave a flap of skin open for later. Since bone is tough, I asked Dr. Lee to give me my big boy bone saw. I then tie the arteries with metal strands or cotton, then use a file to make the bone smooth. I then take the flap of skin and stitch it on. Lastly, the bandages are applied.
Another successful surgery.
Day in the life as a Civil War surgeon.
I've noticed that I've been receiving many comments asking me on what I do to a day-to-day basis. So here's a day in the life with a Civil War surgeon. Before the sun rises, I start my day very early. I make sure to slap my face to wake myself up. I mean, you can't be half asleep during any surgical procedures. That's dangerous. I then quickly eat breakfast of cornmeal. Right after I eat my typical breakfast of cornmeal, I then meet up with Dr. Lee, my assistant, to prepare for the day. As a Civil War surgeon, every surgical procedure is new and unexpected. You will never know what's going to happen, so you must always be prepared. As an example, I remember to store all my tools in my surgical kit. Having all tools ready, we had to check up on a couple of soldiers that had gunshot wounds. The most common gunshot wound comes from the Minier ball. After working for many hours on the soldiers' wounds and amputations, I took a short breather. The procedures can be physically and emotionally exhausting. For lunch, I was able to have some bread. Unfortunately, they were running short on supply, but I'm sure that there'll be more soon. Later in the day, Dr. Lee came running up to me, saying that we had an emergency. I had immediately grabbed my surgical kit and inspected the patient's wounds and then performed what needed to be done. After spending more hours on the last procedure, I could finally eat dinner in peace with Dr. Lee. After I ate, I then go to bed to go to sleep.